Along the way, I think my discovery was, maybe this stuff actually allows people to make money, and I want to be a capitalist. So people said, what do you want to be? Some of you are very noble and said, I want to be a professor. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be a scientist. I met a couple of history majors tonight, designer, artist. I said, oh, no, I just want to make money. Seriously, I tell you. People ask me, I said, well, why would you go sell a company for $8.6 billion? You come back to do this. I said, because I want to make more money. I don't know what else to do. You know, it's just kind of like an animalistic instinct. You get them in the morning, that's what you do. I'm very impressed. I saw a few projects that were in that room. I couldn't even fathom to believe people could pull this kind of stuff off. There were free students. I think 2 of them were sophomore and 1 of them a freshman. One of them was a history major. The other 2 were art and design. And they wrote this Android apps to track fitness. I told them, I said, well, if I were here, I think the first class I took here was actually an assembly class. They probably would have taken about 12,000 lines of code on a Univac that was sitting in, down the street here. And it would have taken 3 years and probably wouldn't track anything. It wouldn't work. It's incredible where technology is taking us. So what I like to do, we only get 30 minutes. I don't want to bore you. So I want to actually first put over some data to tell you some interesting trend in what I've observed in the marketplace. Tell you a bit about what I've been working on lately, why I'm working on these things. Now, I give you a hint. It's because that's where the money is. I know that you said you don't care about that, but I know you do. So there are really 2 areas that people get into. Now, most of you would touch on that, even if you're a history major or you're art major. So there are 2 types of technology business that you get into. Some of the things that we've seen, actually, that we talked about tonight, has to do with consumer technology. That's what we, are the closest to, because all of us has one of these devices that we're carrying around, and we download these apps, and we play games on the thing, we call people, we email, we text, like heck of it, and we do all kinds of stuff. The second type of technology, what we call enterprise technology, there's a lot of overlapping stuff between the 2. The only difference is that consumer technology are sold directly to the people in this room, and most of the people that are, around the globe. The enterprise technology are sold to company. And I tell you why I am specializing and just focusing on enterprise technology is because that's where the money is. I give you some number to look at. So the current enterprise market, this is how much money people spend in enterprise software a year. This year is $246 billion. The next 24 months, counting into all the crises we're having in Europe, all the problems we're having in this country, the slowdown in the economy, all the other stuff, is expected to grow to just under $300 billion in the next 2 years. Okay, so I head to where the money is. So going back to my theme. So current trend in the marketplace. Most of us run our software on the cloud. So most of it, when you access a website or these apps that are on the mobile phone, these apps do not run, in the people's closet somewhere. They actually runs on Amazon services. We've seen those, or a bunch of other hosted services. So the software as an application services just for the enterprise alone this year is about $21 billion in size. And it's not a lot of company. There was one that was sold this week called SuccessFactors, which is actually in San Mateo close by. All right, and it's being sold to SAP for $3.2 billion, okay? So that market is expected in the next 4 years to grow to $92 billion, okay? So again, it's where the money is. So the part that I'm most interested in is the fastest growing segment of the market, which is enterprise social software. But the world's changed. Most of us, when we write in applications, most of the things that you guys seen in that room, you have any service software, you'd be probably going to EC2, which is on Amazon. The time that you decide to do it to the time you deploy it typically is no more than an hour, not a year. That's why people do this. So the users are running out of patience. They want the application right away. We want everything right away. So to give you an idea, in the enterprise, how much of stuff is being moved into the cloud. So in the beginning of this year, only in January they did a survey. This is actually Gartner's group did a survey. Only 8% of the enterprises saying they are moving to the cloud. Last month, 9 months later, 34% of these companies said they're moving to the cloud. Okay. And now, if they recently, actually, this data should come out 4 days ago, they surveyed all the CIOs in the top 300 companies in the United States and said, how many of you think you're going to have application running in the cloud? 84% of them said that's the case. So that's a big trend, right? So how ready are we? In a scale of 1 to 10, probably we're about 2. Security rise, understanding of properly architecting this stuff, supporting our users, we have a long way to go. So I love to work on stuff that not a lot of people are in yet, right? So that's a very key thing. So social, cloud, and the third thing. So if you had to guess, when we ended the first quarter of this year, did we sell more, the world bought more PC or people bought more smartphones? I'll tell you the number, it's very interesting. So when we ended first quarter this year, so they don't have numbers out yet, but I have some preliminary number that came out from a few companies. In the first quarter this year, that 100.7 million smartphones were sold. So remember, majority of the world still running on dumb phones, not smartphones. So they don't have a touch screen and you can do a lot of work. You can download an application onto the thing. Only 84 million PC were sold, including these beautiful, MacBook Air. That's a very, very important thing. I'll tell you why. People have been talking about the post-PC era, but it has come that we didn't even notice. So that line has crossed. So in the future, majority of the computing that we'll be doing from a personal perspective will be through these devices. So if you're building an application or you're building any kind of related stuff, if you don't run on these things, you're not going to be successful, period. So I talked about social, I talked about cloud, and mobile. Now, my focus right now is invention of a bunch of software for people to build new generation application that runs on mobile, social, and cloud, which practically nothing is doing that today in companies. Almost no application is doing it. There are few software as a service application for the enterprises doing that, but almost practically nothing. And here's the reason. You must ask me, so while the world moves so fast, right, and so much magic is being invented in the schools, startups that spun off from the school, startups spun off from startups, startups that spun off from large companies, why is it moving so slowly? It's amazingly, over the past 50 to 60 years, on the enterprise side, now selling to companies, there's only been about 4 to 5 major changes, trends that changed in the enterprise field. So we went from the mainframe to client server, to distributed, to the web, which is where we're kind of stuck at. So majority of the application that you get on your PC, you go to a website, what does it look like? When you go buy something, well, you click on a bunch of things, and when you get checked out, you get very annoyed because you fill out this form, your name, your address, right? Billing, credit card information over and over and over and over again. Now, none of the apps, really, most of the apps that you've seen were games, things that you see on these devices don't run that way. The reason is those are web applications. Basically, they are a form that's going to the database, it gets queued, and it's waiting for processing, and it comes back to you and say, oh, it's successful. This stuff's going to be shipped to you. I don't know how many of you actually tried something very interesting. Have you ever bought a personalized, which is engraved iPod or iPad? I don't know about you, but I tried giving a bunch of these iPod out as Christmas gift, practically every year ever since they've been invented. Anytime that you put some names and I mistyped it, what happens to it? So obviously, this is an hour, so they can't possibly have manufactured the unit. Sure, they should be able to change it, right? They can change it. So I called Apple one day, right? I know a lot of the guys there. I said, why is that the case? I said, well, it's on a queue going to a batch shop. It's going to be processed. We can't take it off the queue. I said, I don't care you're going to take it off the queue. I don't want that thing, okay? I said, I'm sorry, you can't. It's going to be coming in. It's going to be shipped to you with that name on it. Is wrong or right? I said, this can't be the case. This is Apple. You can't be doing this. But it's the case. So we're running very, very old stuff. Very, very old stuff. So it's time to make that change. Now, the reason why I'm making this pitch to you is I'm hoping many of you is going to start lots of companies building these slick, social, mobile, and cloud application. Do you know why? Because that's where the money is, right? It is. It's where the money is. And it's very important because we have to progress, because you look at the consumer. Consumer has incredible stuff. I went to like 3 receptions tonight, with the board of trustee, with the alums and everything. And people ask me, so, well, any interesting computer, trend changes when you were here at the school? I said, yeah. In the year that I was leaving, in '82, the PC came out. The IBM PC came out. And soon, like a year later, they have the XT. So where did the PC go to first? You think the PC gone to the desks of the people in the companies first, right? You would think. No. It went to the consumer first. Do you know, you're probably not going to believe this. When the internet first got introduced in the mid-'90s, what do you think most companies do to the internet? They block them. So you can't get onto the internet when you're in the company. So we're pretty much doing the same thing. Most of the company now block access to Facebook. You scratch your head. Wouldn't that be a very useful tool? So clearly, one of the things that we will have to do is make these technology trend get caught up with where the consumer's mind is at. So by the time that you guys graduated, a lot of you in the back of this room, and go to work, you can do a lot of your work with you whenever you are, wherever you need it to be. This thing, docked, will become your desktop if you choose to have actually a big screen in front of you. I assure you about one thing. 5 years down the road, that computer lab is not going to look anything like it today. We're not going to have a bunch of PCs sitting on people's desks and you go experiment it. You're going to all take out your cell phone, shove it into a dock, and that become the environment you'll be working with. When you're done, you're taking the thing with you. Now, obviously, we don't expect a terabyte drive with a big fan sitting on this thing. You're lugging it like a boombox. That's why the cloud has to be in place, because we don't need to lug all the data with us. The only reason we lug all the data with us is kind of like a habit. This is my data, so I'm putting it in my backpack. I'm going somewhere with it, but we don't need it, right? You don't put that kind of stuff in your wallet. We don't have a wallet the size of a backpack that we put in the back of our trousers. So we don't do that for the same reason. So with that, I'm working on a new company. This company has introduced an application, mostly for salespeople. This is my test bed for these 3 things coming together. I'm building a system software technology, middleware technology, for people to build these kind of applications that will be introduced later on this year. I love this stuff. I love doing startups. I love entrepreneurship because that's where the money is. And besides that, this is an incredible place, because this is a place I've learned you can create things. It's nothing like the satisfaction when you create something. I went through all these booths that you guys have set up. You guys are so excited because you created those things from scratch, even though you're not a computer science major, right? Technology have enabled you to create things from nowhere. That's really, really good stuff, right? And a lot of us will think we have enough inventions to deal with, but clearly it's not enough. I mean, those things will help us progress and make our life easier, hopefully. And the way to get out of this economic crisis is very simple. We've got to grow our way out of it, right? We've got to invent new things and restart. I love investing during the downturn for this exact reason. You don't want to invest in the peak when everyone is flooding to it, and then the markets, if this is how the market works, the market goes up, market goes down, market goes up, market goes down. Most people will all flood to invest at the peak of the market because that's where everyone is. I love to invest in the bottom of the market because no one is doing it. By the time you come out, people want new stuff, right? And you got to be right there with it. So for all of us who are either graduates of this place or working on new stuff and learning new things in the school, I think the timing just can't be possibly better.